Hello, my name is Katie Brown, and this is Stanley. He's gonna give me an example about a time he had a conflict at work. So, Mr. Brown, could you tell me about a time that you had a conflict at work?
Sure. Well, when I had one of my employees um, upset and mentioned to me that he was concerned about having to do other people's work and always having to follow with another employee, and he was upset and saying that other people were upset that they always have to do Tom's work.
hmm So, with your employee having to say they did Tom's work, it sounds like it created some waves in the workplace. How did you handle the other employees' reactions to the waves being created by this one employee?
Well, I just talked to the employee, brought him into my office, and asked him, what the situation was, why he thought that was the case, why he let it get to the point of being so upset, and just hashed it out with him as to what work Tom was actually doing, and the fact that he had special projects that he was working on. So he had some very difficult things that he was working on, very important things that he was working on. So as the routine things had to be caught up with other employees.
So it sounds like the routine things that this employee had to do were out of the norm for this employee. So now he's a little upset about where he was, and he let it kind of boil over. So how are you working with him to make sure that his negative attitude, let's say, is not affecting all of the other employees?
Well, I just, when I was talking to him, explained to him, not to let things get to him to boil over and not to concern himself so much with the performance of others. I use the analogy of baseball. And in baseball, it's a team sport. We're all on the same team, but everybody has specialized different positions that they're playing. And I reminded him, just because the other people on the team, the other person on the team may not run as fast as you do or hit the ball as well as you do or catch the ball, you still have to play as hard as you can and do as well as you can. They might have reasons why they can't, or things that might be in their situation. Whereas someday that might be his situation where somebody has to help him.
Right, right. Now you mentioned teamwork. And moving forward, using the analogy of baseball and trying to keep your team, in a good positive light, how are you going to move forward with the teamwork? Have you put a plan in place for all of the employees?
Well, just to talk to everybody and just always have communications open with everyone. And there's always a certain amount of water cooler talk at work, and I don't think it's an unhealthy thing. It keeps people informed as to what's happening. But I just ask them to ask me if they think something isn't fair or why things are the way they are, and it just do as well as each one can do themselves. Someone might not seem that isn't working as hard or isn't as good of an employee, but they might have different talents. Mm-hmm. That's what I always say to people that work for me. Everybody on my team, everybody has strengths and weaknesses. What might seem like the most obvious strength of speed and getting a lot of work done per hour might be different than the specialized project that's right. Very important yet very hard and difficult to figure out.
Right.
Might take days to do one thing. But that one thing is something the customer's been waiting for and is really glad they got.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Stanley. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.